I want you to pay attention. I want you to talk to me. I'm not trying to trick you or anything like that. I'm really not trying to trick you. I'm just asking you to answer and answer truthfully and just, just think. No fancy words. All right. And if you could respond in the chat, you just type in the chat. If I have an opportunity to look, I'll look at the chat. I want to ask you, how many of you know what a drain, can I say a drain or a canal looks like? Let's thank you, Holy Spirit. Let's deal with your kitchen sink. You all have everybody have a kitchen sink or a face basin in their house. You know, the face basin is where you brush your tooth. What about what about the bathroom? Do you all have a bathroom that has a pipe in it? I'm really serious because I want to know if you all are following me. Do you all have a kitchen sink? And I want you to think of your kitchen sink. Some of you have plenty sinks. Some of you have more than one um toilet and bath in your home. You know, you have plenty. So I want you to think, I want everybody to think of whether your face basin or your kitchen sink, it doesn't matter. I just want you to think of that drainage area. All right? So my question to you tonight is, if you are in the kitchen and you're doing dishes, and while you're washing the dishes, you're not taking the things from the dishes, you're just leaving it in the sink. So let's say you ate a plate of food and you empty the remnants in the sink, right? You go to the um face basin and you're brushing your tooth, and in doing so, or your teeth, and in doing so, you just brush and you leave it there. You don't add water or anything. Let's just say you go to your bathroom as well. Same behavior, right? You're saying, you just go and you're using it, but the way you're using it, your hair, you're shampooing your hair, and some of your hair fell, it fell in the bathroom and the drainage area. And so you leave it there, and every time you go, you you leave it, you're leaving it there, right? So you're brushing your teeth because it's all the tooth in your mouth makes up your teeth. So you're brushing your teeth as if, and I want you to picture it. Picture your face basin. You are not opening that pipe. You're brushing your teeth and you're just leaving it and you're going away. You're in the kitchen sink. You're washing, you're going to wash dishes, but here's what you do. You just empty everything right there and you leave it there and you don't move it. Could you all just tell me what do you think is happening there? And this is being done every single day. You're doing it for months. And then sometimes you might open the pipe quick, and just throw a little water, but you go, can you tell me in reality, what is happening? What is happening there? Yes, it will get clogged. What else? Because there are a lot of things that's happening at the same time. There's more than clogging taking place. Because I want you to think about it. Every day you're doing this. Every single day you're doing it, right? It's gonna get dirty, right? Bacteria is gonna build up because what's gonna happen? Let's talk about that bacteria building up, because if you're cleaning, exactly, it's gonna get smelly and messy, because if you're cleaning fish, remember, you're not you're cleaning the fish, and you're cleaning chicken or meat, whatever you have, and you're cleaning it and everything is just staying there. All right. As a matter of fact, if you came in my home and you saw that, you'd want to know, well, what's really going on. So we getting a bad smell, we getting clog, we getting an overflow. Yes, because eventually everything is going to start backing up. It's going to be dirty, definitely going to have bacteria, maggots, even flies. Could we say flies? will come and then there'll be a stench. Yes. Um, I want to ask you, do you think that is something that people should do? How would you feel? You came home into my house, Sister Nicola. Let me see if I could call some names I don't call. And you came into my house, and when you came into my house, you saw my kitchen sink filled with just just garbage. And then for some reason you may have wanted to use the washroom, the bathroom, and you get in there and then you just see the toilet bowl is just filled with paper and mess on up and mess on top, and it's just building up, it's just building up. The face basin is just building up. The place is just, what would your reaction be? You came into my home, Sister Nicola, or Sister, I think Gail says she's not going to come back to my home again, you know. But what would your reaction be? What would be your thoughts? Yeah, you'd say it wouldn't come back, but what would be your thoughts at that point in time? What would you really think? Because yes, it's going to be disgusting. Yes, you're going to say, I'm not coming back here. Yes, you're going to have scorn. Yes, you would want, but more than that, what is your thoughts? Right? Julian is saying what's going on with me. You'll think that I'm not clean. And why you would think that way? Why would you think that I'm not clean? Why would you consider it not being clean? Why would you think like that? Why? If you came in my house and that happened, you'd say it's disgusting. Why would you say it's disgusting? Terry say because it's not natural. And why is it not natural? Right? Elder Ruth said because it's not expected of me. Yes, my house. But why do you consider that unnatural? But the next comment says that I'm lazy. But why would you say that I'm lazy? What is the reason you think like that? And don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Why would the thought keep? And somebody kind of touched on that already because it's unnatural, right? It's not the norm. Why is it not the norm? Because whenever you eat, what do? Come talk to me. When you eat, what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to clean up, right? And how you're supposed to clean up after yourselves. What you're supposed to do. So to think about it now, come on, we're going back again. You sat down and you ate some nice curry. You sat and you ate some nice curry. I have to use curry because that's my favorite. So you sat and you must have eaten some pumpkin and some anchar and some chana and some potato and curry chicken, maybe curry goat as well, curry fish, the whole week. So when you finish eating, what do? We're thinking about food. Maybe you don't like curry, but you sit and you had a nice, what we call Creole lunch, macaroni pie, you had all these things. So you finish, you ate, you finish. What's the first thing you do? I know we clean up the mess, but tell me what's the first thing you do? You tie it up. No, well, when you finish eat, the first thing you do is you get up from where you are. That's what I'm saying. The first thing, tell me what's the first thing you do? 'Cause I want us to do this step by step. You finish eating, what do you do? Sister Sharon say you go back for more. All right, you go back for more, but you're sitting down and you're eating. The first thing you do is you get up, right? You get up and right, somebody said it somewhere there. You take your dishes and you go to the kitchen sink, right? And what do you do? Because remember, you got anchor, you have the seed of the anchor. We used to say the bone, but it's not really the bone, it's the seed. So you have the seed from the anchor that remain, and maybe if you had some goat with bone in it, it has bone on the plate, right? I want you all to tell me. You need to think about it. What if you're having um callaloo and all these things? So I want you to do it step by step. So you get up, right? You go to the kitchen, you carry the plate to the sink. Let me read here. You throw away the scraps. washing, use soap, and all right. So that's basically what it is, right? When we eat, we get up and we get rid of these scraps, as she called these scraps, you throw that away. And where do you throw it? Where do you throw it? Where do you throw these scraps? In the garbage, in the bin, all right. And why? Why it can't throw it and leave it in the sink? Like the example we gave before. Because everybody's saying they throw it in the bin. Scrap supposed to go in the bin. Right? It's a you get rid of scraps. It's just you don't keep it on the inside. You just get rid of it because, as you all said, it will have your house smelling nasty. It's gonna encourage flies and even someone said it, which is true, is the maggots because it will start to spring its own water, and all sorts of things will happen. So what you do is you put it in the garbage bin, right? And you tie that and you get rid of it because that's what you all are saying is the natural thing to do. You won't put it in your sink because your sink is going to get clogged. Oh yes, that's another thing too. Cockroaches. It will bring all sorts of insects and bacteria. So we understand that. And so I wanted to just get you into that thought process, right? Because we're talking about when we eat, we're supposed to get rid of when we're finished, we're supposed to tidy up ourselves. Can I say that? Is it okay to say that? You're supposed to tidy up yourself after you eat. As a matter of fact, if I come into your home and Brother Kenville, you invite me in your house and I eat and there's curry all on my mouth, and I sit down there and still talking, my fingers have curry on it, and I'm just currying down the place, and you see me like that, you say, well, what Pastor Nicole, you might have say, you might say you want to use the washroom to wash your mouth and your hand. And I might say, no, not really now. Then you might come and give me a napkin, to wipe my hand. And then you'd want to find out, well, why I don't want to go and, wash my hands and my mouth and all these kind of things. Yes. Because, it's dirty. And whenever we eat, we are supposed to tidy up after ourselves. So we all agree on that. All right. Well, let's go. I have about 10 minutes. Now, this is where we have been building up to come to. Now, one of the things I always say to you all truth is parallel. As it is in the natural, so it is in the spirit. And so I know some people might feel a bit uncomfortable about what we are about to speak about today. And it's simply, we're going to talk about, because we're dealing with taking care of our temple. And don't stop talking while I want you to remain interactive, interact with me. And some people, they don't like to talk about this, but we're going to talk about it because it's part of our body being the temple of the Holy Spirit. And most people, if you speak with them, they don't like to speak about their own bowel movement, more so about somebody else's. But we want to talk about your bowel movement. We want to talk about defecation. We want to talk about, you know, when you have little children, you'd say you want to poo poo, or you like the word poo poo, poo poo better for you. You think you could kind of handle it a little bit. Let's talk about this. Now, I want you to consider that having a bowel movement is part of life. All right? It is part of life, and every single person do it. Male do it, females do it, animals do it, even some insects as well, they do it. I said to Dr. Richards, he's one that, for him, it's a whole, oh my goodness, don't talk about it. And I said, Doc, I don't understand. I said, it's something we all do. If I was speaking about my period, I could understand, it's speaking about menstruation. I'm a man, don't speak to me about menstruation because men don't menstruate. But, I'm saying we all do it. So some people, like Dr. Richards, get kind of squeamish with it. But I want to just take 2 minutes and I want to do this a little slow today with you because I want you all to start thinking. Saints of God, let me say this to you. We have been praying and asking God for healing. We believe God for healing, and all of that is good. But what for the past few weeks the Holy Spirit has been teaching us is how to take care of our body. And once we understand that we have the power within our hands to say, you know what, I've heard and I'm going to make some changes. And it is extremely important as human beings. I'm not even going to deal with the animals. I want to talk to us. I want to talk to you who's listening to the sound of my voice. Every person on this platform, it is important for you to have a bowel movement. It is very important. It is so essential because a bowel movement, saints of God, is your body removing waste. The same way in your kitchen sink, you wouldn't have a buildup like that because it's unclean. You say it's unsanitary, or everything that is a no-no. And all through this parallel, the same way that that buildup will smell in the sink, it's the same way whenever what we say fluctuants. If someone is very gassy and that gas passes through the anus, two things can happen. Have you ever heard someone, they just let it out so loud? They just say drops and it comes out and there's no scent. There's no scent. None at all. And we always say it's the quiet ones you need to run from, the ones that don't make no sound. How many of you ever heard that before? They said, you know, it's the quiet fluctuants, the quiet ones, the ones that come out very quiet and hot. You feel the heat. That one smells horrible. It does. And the reason for that is because when you have a buildup of stool or feces in the colon coming down in the intestine, your large intestine, when there's a backup and there's a need to be gassy, let me tell you what happens and why it smells like that. First, it's what you're eating. So you might be eating lots of meat and it's packing up like in the sink. It's packing up, piling up in the sink. And so what happens is sometimes like a little air blow. You know, when something is not smelling good and breeze past, you sort of smell it, and you know it smells because the wind blow. So it's the same thing. So there's gas, there's air wants to pass through, and what happens is that air has to pass through all that feces that you have built up in your colon. So it's coming through. It started off being really fast maybe, and as it coming down, it has to push its way through all that feces, all that poo-poo that is stuck in your back. So it has to fight its way through. By the time it comes through, it's smelling like the stool. And that's why it comes through hot because it's tight. That's for the heat. You just feel the heat. And then it's silent because there's so much things blocking it. It can't come out perhaps because it comes out brap because there's nothing there. So there's a loud noise. But when you have to pass through so many things, by the time it reach, it's just like a pew, like a kind of quiet, kind of silent air coming through. And I'm sure some of you may have experienced that. And that's why it is so smelly. From the moment you find that your stools is smelling high, even when you're using the washroom, that tells you that there's a problem, there's a buildup. And if it's not good for your sink, then it's not good for your body. Can somebody say amen? If it is not good to have a buildup in your kitchen sink, then it's not good to have a buildup in your body as well, because it's the same thing that is being done. And we don't want to talk about it, but you got to talk about it. And so what happens is when you don't have regular bowel movements, what happened, that same waste is building up, it's building up. But here's the thing, when it builds up, harmful toxins, bacteria, parasite, dead cells, undigested food, when it remains there in the gut, and when you're not going off and it starts to build up, that's where you're going to have problems. You have to help your gut to remain healthy. And if you do that, you're also going to prevent a buildup of harmful toxin, which can lead eventually to sicknesses and diseases. You have to have regular bowel movement because it's an indication for those of you who may be having a regular bowel movement. It indicates that your digestive system is healthy and it is working. If you are not having a regular bowel movement, it is not okay because it means you're going to be constipated. You're going to get bloated. And let me tell you something, irregular bowel movement can even damage your organs. So it is not all right. Your body is made to function in such a way that when you eat, you got to let it out. When you eat, just the same way you take your plate when you finish eating. What has to go to the garbage goes to the garbage. What goes to the dogs goes to the dogs. What goes to the fowl goes to the fowl. But you don't keep it inside. Why do you keep your stools inside? Let me tell you what happens. Your digestive system breaks down food. It breaks it down. Remember we spoke about it? And what happens is that when your digestive system breaks down the food, your colon, remember we talk about the small intestine and the large intestine, colon, that's the colon. It absorbs the water. We spoke about it. It absorbs the nutrients. Remember we spoke about it. Your colon takes what is needed to help you to be healthy, what is needed to build your body. And what you don't need, the colon leaves it behind and leaves it behind so that you can pass it out as waste. It must come out. And if that waste sits in the colon for too long, just like your kitchen sink, bacteria begins to ferment. And the bacteria, what it ferment is something called proteins that is not good. Proteins that comes into your body instead of fiber. And that's what you need, the fiber. So when the bacteria stays, it begins to ferment in a type of protein that you don't need. What you need is when you eat, is for your body to receive that fiber to pass it out. And what will happen is that as the bacteria begins to ferment the proteins instead of the fiber, it will release harmful toxins into your bloodstream. And so what you eat tonight or late evening, you're supposed to pass that out when you have breakfast in the morning. When you have breakfast, whatever you eat, your present meal is supposed to push out your last meal. Do you all understand that? So whatever you have for breakfast, you should be able to pass that out after you have lunch. And whatever you have for lunch, you should be able to pass that out when you have dinner. And whatever you have for dinner, you should be able to pass dinner out for breakfast. It's supposed to push it out. How many of you have, sometimes you've eaten, and when you eat, you just feel the urge to run into the washroom. You just feel that as you're eating, you're feeling it coming down. Have you ever experienced that? Doc, you're making me smile. Have you ever experienced that? You're eating, and while you're eating, you're feeling that need to use the washroom because that food now is pushing out what was there before. And so what we are told is that we should have a bowel movement at least 3 to 4 times, 3 times a day. But it's not necessarily 3 times a day. What they're also saying, there are some people who go off 3 times a day and that is healthy for them. And what may be healthy for you is 3 times a week. that you go off, because everybody body is different. And so when you have this regular bowel movement, whether it's 3 times a day or twice a day or a few times a week, it will prevent your colon from becoming overloaded. That's why some people, when you eat and you get so crazy, I need to take a purge, I need to take a purge, and then you go and take the purge and nothing is coming out, but you're in pain because there's nothing in there. So you have to know yourself. And you're following, are you all understanding what I'm saying? You don't want your colon to become overloaded. Think of that food. You have to know if it's doing the same thing in your house, it's doing the same thing in your body. And so that's why you need to look at the color of your stool as well. And I'll tell you something. I'm looking at the time. We're going to stop here tonight. Are you all excited? How- Are you excited about learning? This is